Hello, Toastmasters. Here in the room and out in Zoom land, we have Robin and we have a guest today, Ten. It's nice to see you.
Thank you so much.
At the end of the meeting, if you feel comfortable, we might ask you how you found us and what you thought of the meeting. So
Got
we'll
it.
give you some time to think
No
about
pressure. Got it.
that. But before we get started into our meeting, we're going to have Buffy give us a few jokes to lighten the mood as our joke master today. Buffy.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. What kind of shoes do frogs wear?
Jumping shoes.
Open-toed sandals?
Oh, that's very good.
Did I ever tell you about the time I went mushroom foraging?
No.
It's a story with a moral at the end, a morale
Oh,
at the end.
very good. I like it.
And one more. Why do crabs never volunteer?
Those are crabby.
It's pretty close. Because they're shellfish.
Oh, very good.
Mm.
So many good jokes. So little time.
I can keep going.
Thank you, Buffy.
Welcome.
We're going to go through our roles today, give folks a chance to explain their roles in the meeting. This gives folks a chance to practice talking, practice their pausing, and not leaning on the filler words like we do when we get really anxious. Also, this is a good way for any guests to learn a little bit about the roles and how an agenda and how a meeting flows for Toastmasters. So the first person that I'm going to ask to explain their role today is Buffy. If you wouldn't mind explaining to us what the general evaluator does in the meeting.
The general evaluator completes meeting evaluation. General evaluator calls for reports from the timer and the grammarian, who's the person who counts how many ahs you say in your speech or any other time you talk. And the general evaluator provides meeting and speech evaluator evaluations and then turns the meeting over to the president. This role is timed 2 to 3 minutes, not including reports.
Wonderful. Thank you, Buffy.
And this is only the second time I've done it, and I'm still learning.
And I'm going to take on an explanation of a few of our other key roles. So one of the key roles that we do in Toastmasters is the timer role. And we use these placards if we're here in the room. If someone on Zoom is doing the timer, sometimes they will either hold up placards like this or they will make their background of their screen the green, yellow, and the red. And the green tells you when you've reached a minimum amount of time. The yellow tells you that you're over your minimum amount of time, but you're getting close to the end. And the red tells you you're at your final amount of time. So for example, Robin is giving a 5 to 7 minute speech today. So at 5 minutes, she gets the green. At 6 minutes, she gets the yellow. And at 7 minutes, she gets the red. Typically, you get 30-second grace period after the red. Really, the only time that this counts against you and when it's really important is during a contest. You can lose qualification if you go over your 30 seconds over your time. But during a meeting, we don't do that to you. We just let you know what your time was. And really what this does is it allows you in the real world to fit your elevator speech into 5 minutes if you have it, or into 10 minutes. We don't always know how much time we're going to get our point across. So it's good to work on that. That is the timer role. We don't have table topics today. If we did have table topics, we would also use this for the 1 to 2 minute extemporaneous speaking that we have. And Ted, you're going to have to come back to our next meeting because table topics is really fun. The reason that we don't have it today is that we're going to use that time to give Robin feedback from all of us on her speech because she's preparing her speech for a speech contest that's coming up.
What is tabletop?
What was that?
What is tabletop?
Table topics.
Topic. Yeah, so it's 1 to 2 minutes to get asked a question or talk about a statement that someone gives you and you don't know what it's going to be usually. and you have 1 to 2 minutes to just extemporaneously respond to it. It's kind of fun. It's that thinking on your feet, and you don't have to be honest. You can lie, you can make things up, but it's just kind of getting that practice of being quick in response. It's really fun. At another meeting, we'll make sure we have time for table topics. For the rest of the time, I will say evaluations. We're going to have one formal evaluation today, and that's going to be Don evaluating Kim's speech. And he has 2 to 3 minutes. So that's 2 minutes for the green, 2.5 minutes yellow, 3 minutes red. Buffy also, as the general evaluator, will have that same amount of time. So that is the timer roll. I keep the time on a piece of paper, and then at the end of the meeting, the general evaluator calls me and I report on the times. Another important role that we do in Toastmasters is what we call the grammarian. And what they do is they listen to word usage. They listen for words that distract, ahs, ums, so's, you knows, the things that we rely on when we're trying to fill the space. One that I am really notorious for is the ands. I don't like to put a period at the end of my sentences. I like to say and I just string all my sentences out. So that's one thing we look for. We also listen for good word usage because there are things that we say in our speech that are really interesting and they really kind of will catch your ear. And so we'll write those things down. We also come up with a word of the day, and then we try to all fit that word of the day into our speeches and into the times that we're talking. However, we are not going to have a full grammarian today. I'm just going to listen. I'm going to be the grammarian for Robin's speech. And I could do it for you too, Kim, if you want. You're like, I don't know. It's kind of nice to have a free day where you know someone's not counting all your ahs and ands and ums. Let's see. I covered the timer grammarian. And I think that's all our roles. Did I forget anything? We good? All right. So now we're going to move on to our speakers. Our first speaker today is going to be Kim Chen, and he is going to be introduced by his evaluator today, who is Donald Thomas. Don, would you like to come up?
Yes.
And one thing we like to do is we like to fist bump to pass it along.
All right, hello, Toastmasters and honor guests. I'm going to bring up Kim, and he is going to do a speech, and it's going to be a show and tell. So I'm going to have Kim come up and go from there. Or you're sitting down?
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, thank you, Donald. I will not be coming. Thank you, Donald, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. I will not bring up there because I'm actually going to be doing a show and tell, kind of a demo of a role and responsibility for one of our leadership role. And one of the leadership role is actually a VP of PR. Okay. It is a role that I used to do it, to be a member at one point, to take that on that lead role at one point. I'm no longer. That is actually an empty role in our leadership. And so I like to share a couple of responsibility for that role, and I'll show it right here, right now on the screen. Let me know. I think everyone else can see the screen here. So first of all, I wanted to share that we as a club actually have an email address. How many of us here know that we have an email address for our club? That's been here for a while.
I don't know if I knew that.
Okay. Well, now you know. So our email address, believe it or not, is called SoMeridian360@gmail.com. That email should be used to do official work business, such as if you're a treasurer and you signed up and you pay for things or receive things, it should be going through that email address. One of the email address that we use actually should be used by multiple folks. So I think the president should have access to it as a leadership, the VP of PR, and also myself as the VP of membership, because believe it or not, some people actually finds out that our email exists and they reach out to us through that email address. As you can see here, I won't click and
Can
go.
you enlarge it at all? Sorry, I can't. I can't see it.
Here. Try and do
That's
There we
better.
go.
Thank you.
As you can see here, I'm looking at the inbox in our mailbox, and you see a lot of Zoom email address. Well, I want to highlight that Zoom is actually using our email address as an account. So what I would like to do is actually transition over to Zoom and show you that we also have a Zoom account that's tied to that email address.
Oh.
So a while back, our president at the time, maybe actually Robin as well. Our current late last year, we as a club decided that we will purchase our own Zoom account because we was using Robin's personal account, and that was not acceptable professionally, and also it was taking up a lot of her storage space, and she was paying for it, so it didn't make sense. So here we do have a Zoom account that we purchased for 1 year, and as you can see, these are all the recordings that we have on there right now, and we're currently recording to it at this moment for our meeting. So the next question then is, what do we do as a VPPR with the recording? We have all these technology in place. We have an email address. We have a Zoom account that's tied to it. We're recording all our meetings. And how do we provide that access to the general public? The next thing that we do is we actually have a YouTube account that's tied to that email address. How many of us here know that we have a YouTube account for our club?
I knew that, but
All right.
I've never looked at it.
Does Robin know too?
I didn't know if Robin raised her hand or not.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, awesome. So believe it or not, if you go to YouTube and you search for SoMeridian, you'll see that there's some videos, most of the videos that from our meeting has been uploaded on there. Now I've taken a little bit of responsibility in the VPPR role, public relation role, to upload some of this video into our YouTube channel. But if you do look at right now, we're a little behind. We're a couple of months behind. So I'm about 8 videos behind on uploading this. But I wanted to share that this exists. And if you had a speech, or if you want to see something replay in this meeting today, you could technically go to our Zoom account as an option and request it, which I think Robin was going to do that for the speech. That's one option. Or option number 2, you could alternatively go to the public to the YouTube channel, and hopefully, if Kim was responsible and doing his due diligence, he would upload the latest video for you to view and everyone else to view. That is a good. So those are 3 things I wanted to share and show and demo and present to everyone here of the role and responsibility of the VPPR role. And one of that is essentially keeping up of our social media presence. And a part of that social media presence is knowing our email address, logging into Zoom, and also uploading videos of our recording to our YouTube channel. And that's all I wanted to share today. Back to you.
I want to ask a bunch of questions.
Not time for questions.
No
All
time
right.
for
No, I'm just joking.
We actually have maybe a minute or 2.
Minute or 2?
Yeah, we could ask.
Can I ask?
Oh, yeah.
Can you automate that? That just
Repeat.
once the Zoom recording is on Zoom, can you just sort of, it just automatically goes up to YouTube?
I have not looked at
Could
that up.
could one hypothetically maybe?
I have not looked at that option.
Yeah, okay.
But
So
yeah.
the easiest way, if we were to be organized about it, would be during the Zoom call, we could live stream it to YouTube, and that will then automatically be there as well as the recording.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then you can just make sure that, you end it at the right time so we don't have all the extra stuff on there.
my head just exploded. Okay, thank you, Robin, and thank you, Kim.
Great question, Buffy. I also have one last question, and then we can move on our agenda. How long does it take for you, because you're the only one that's done it, I think,
Mhm.
to upload from Zoom to YouTube? Is it pretty quick process or
Yeah, it normally takes 5 to 10 minutes.
per video?
Yeah, normally it's the manual labor is manually downloading it, and that's
Mhm.
based on your internet speed.
Gotcha.
And then you have to name it a certain way on the title, the video title.
All
So
right.
that when you upload it, then YouTube also wants you to name it a certain way as well. So
Okay.
there's just a couple of things that you have to check on to the YouTube's process of uploading. But it's anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes based on your internet connection.
Okay.
And then it should be relatively available.
Great. Maybe you could show me how to do it sometime and I could try to help us get caught up on the backlog. And
Sure.
then when we get a new VP of PR at some point,
Yeah.
they can kind of take that on. So
Yep. Yeah.
wonderful. Well, I appreciate this show and tell. It's extremely helpful.
Yes.
I think it's a really great way for us to fill those speaking roles for those of us who maybe not ready or haven't had the time to put a speech together, to give out information to new members, but also old members too, and remind us what tools we have available to us. So I really appreciate that. Thanks so much, Kim. Now, our second speaker, I'm going to go ahead and introduce her because what we're going to do for an evaluation for Robin is do what we call, it just happens to be called a round robin evaluation, where we're all going to give for 1 to 2 minutes, which this is going to be our table topics, normal time that we do for table topics, just to give Robin some feedback on her speech today. Now, I'm hoping that Robin will be able to give it to us in person before the contest so she can practice the in person as well. But this is one of her first times through the speech, coming back into it before she goes on to do this as her contest for the International Speech Contest. And the contest for our area, for our club, is in Area 56. The Area 56 contest will be February 21st in Milton, Washington. But before we get to that point, Robin wants to practice. So, Robin, what is the name of your speech?
Throw perfection out the window.
Throw perfection out the window. Okay.
And
So
was that loud enough?
No.
Yes. Oh,
Yes. No?
mixed. We have a mix. Was loud enough and wasn't loud enough. Maybe just
Okay,
tune it
so
up.
if I say that again, is this good?
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
I think so.
So I am going to introduce you the way that we do at the contest, which is the name of your name, the title, your name, and then we will start. Throw perfection out the window. Oh no, it's Robin first. Okay. let's start that over. Robin Lee. Throw perfection out the window. Throw perfection out the window. Robin Lee.
Have you ever written something for a speech and then you cross it out? Oh, I don't like that. And you've written a little more and you cross that out. And pretty soon you just crumple it up and throw it out the window. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, throwing perfection out the window has been one of my greatest challenges, but one of my biggest wins in my Toastmasters life. You see, in my first 5 or 6 speeches, I wrote out every word. I stayed up for hours, sometimes till 2 o'clock in the morning, memorizing that, practicing in the mirror how it would look. And then I would get to the meeting, I would deliver my speech, and Renee would say, "It would really be great if you added in this." Well, it was in there. It just didn't get into the speech when I delivered it. Now, around the 7th speech, I decided to try working from an outline, and my ahs and ums went through the roof. And I thought, well, how am I going to be a health coach, give workshops memorizing every bit of a half an hour or an hour-long talk. And what if somebody asks me a question and throws me off my script altogether? I decided, in order to be able to break that habit of so many filler words, that I would take every last minute available speech. So, being as our meeting is on a Thursday, I started out, if it was still available on a Sunday, I would take that speech. And after that, after I did that for quite a few months, I would wait until Tuesday. And if it was still available, I would take that speech. And then I'd wait till Wednesday evening to take the speech. And finally, I started to take it on Thursday morning. And even when somebody last minute had canceled 20 minutes before, I ended a meeting with a fellow Toastmaster, and we had just been talking about regenerative agriculture and rain gardens. And I said, you said you wanted to know more about rain gardens. How about if we stop this and I give myself about 20 minutes to get together a few slides, and I will give an impromptu speech on why install a rain garden instead of a rock garden. So I started to get where I was really good at delivering a speech, no matter how long I had to prepare. That has served me wonderfully well, as when I've been on podcasts, for instance. I had one of my book coaches say, I'm going to go off script and I'm going to ask a question that I've been wondering about. How do you convince somebody that they should not use fluoridated toothpaste? And so I knew answers to that, because for about 30 years, we had not been using fluoride toothpaste. In the course of my life, I have been working on how to expand my willingness to throw perfection out the window, because I could still sit in front of an email for an hour trying to figure out the right way to say something. Now, the reason I think this topic has become a little more important is because in the advent of AI and everybody using AI, we need to get faster at doing things for our business if we want to stay competitive in the current entrepreneurial world, in the current business world, because all the people using AI have that speed in their advantage. Whether or not they're using it wisely or not is another thing. But we need to be able to be willing to put our ideas out there faster and in a timely way, so that we are not left behind in this world of AI. Bringing it back to our speeches, when we can formulate our ideas and play around with them, like I'm doing today, I have given throw perfection out the window many times. I've done it for competition, and it became one of my most requested speeches by clubs that are having a hard time filling their speech slots. This is the first time I ever decided to add AI as a component to this speech. It's so relevant in our world. People are worried about their jobs being taken away by AI. And I want to say, when we can learn how to play with it, throwing perfection out the window and see what comes up, and then we can take what comes up and use that as a jumping off point, not to use it word for word as it was given to us, but we provide our thoughts in the first and then see what AI comes up with. And then it becomes a dialogue that we might be able to come up with new ideas. We can use that in our favor to come up with thoughts, ideas, and speeches that may wind up being the winning speech in the competition. With that, I encourage you to throw perfection out the window in your writing life, your speaking life, your AI life, and see what comes. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Wonderful job. Boy, that's hard to time and listen to your ahs and ands and ums and listen to your speech because it's such a good speech. It's my favorite speech that you do. And every time you give it, I feel so motivated to just give an impromptu speech. And that exact speech is the reason why I have given so many impromptu speeches because it's like, why am I here? Why do I pay dues to Toastmasters? Why do I come every Thursday? Because I want to get better at speaking. And one of the ways is just to throw perfection out the window. And another thing that Robin taught me, which is stage time. It's really about stage time, getting used to being up here, getting used to hearing your own voice when you're not comfortable necessarily hearing it all the time. So thank you so much, Robin. So now what we are going to do is we are going to do, actually, I have Don giving his evaluation of Kim next. Do we want to go in that order or would it make sense to go ahead and do year-round Robin now? Robin, what do you?
It can go either way since we have, and the guests can also participate. And so, depending on how you guys feel, if you would rather, so a regular evaluation, you get to have a little more time to prepare. If you want a round robin evaluation, the intent is to give as much and variety of feedback as possible. So after somebody says something, then you want to try and add something else instead of just reiterating what other people have already said.
Okay, let's move into the round robin right now. I think
agree.
since we're on that topic. So,
And you might start with the newer people so that they know they have something to say, and then leave it to the people who have been in longer to come up with something else.
okay, yeah, and I'll time everybody 1 to 2 minutes. So we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay. You want that seems like a lot. Each of us have 1 to 2 minutes. That's 10-minute eval total.
Okay, let's go 1 minute. 1 minute. Everybody has up to 1 minute. I'll time you to a minute.
No,
How's that?
no pressure.
All right.
Talk really slow.
Who would like to go first?
Oh, I'll go first.
Okay, great.
All right, greetings, Robin. All right, so first thing I noticed is that you stood to speak even while doing a presentation and a speech on Zoom. So that was great to see you just stand up rather than sitting down and actually giving the speech. One thing that I really appreciated that really got my attention was you using props in the beginning to engage the guests. That's usually is always how you pretty much reel people in, using props and actually trying to figure out what this lady's talking about. So that got me engaged, and I really appreciate that. Um, useful, very useful information with the topic. Um, as a perfectionist myself, I appreciate the topic because I do find myself want to be a perfectionist in everything I do. So I appreciate the encouragement that you gave to us about that. One thing I did notice was it's like numerous times. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but you were smacking your tongue at the end of like sentences. You did that probably like 2 or 3 times, so just keep you aware of that.
I never hear
And other than that, it's a great value, great speech. So and also the conclusion was great. So I like the way how you conclude everything at the end of the speech. So I appreciate that. Good speech. Thank you, Robin.
Pam, do you want to evaluate?
I'm not sure what to evaluate.
You don't have to.
Okay, not yet. No, just checking. All right. Well, I'll go next.
Okay.
I always start that way.
Fortunately, I'm not counting your ums today, so you're good.
I'd say about 20. I will not reiterate what Don said about your the opening of your speech, but I agree. I did count some thes and one Wow. Having heard this speech once, I think it was at Women's Circle, wow, it did feel a little stilted at times. So this is the growing edge where it starts to flow more easily and more comfortably. And I also want to hear more about AI as a competitor versus AI as a helper. Because that's kind of where I went with it is, what are you talking about with the AI? So it wasn't quite clear to me what you were encouraging us to understand about how AI could help versus hinder. That's all I have.
Woo! Kim, do you want to go next?
Sure, I'll go next. To add on to the additional evaluation of good things that have already been said about your speech, Robin, I do appreciate also that you had references and examples of why of stories, example of stories of why you were throwing perfection out the window.
Mhm.
And I love how you build on a couple of the stories, different aspects of it. So that was captivating because you can relate to that kind of things
Mhm.
when you share a story that ties to what you're talking about. The preparation of the beginning, I think Donald kind of hinted at this a little bit where you were standing up. You were really preparing for it to be introduced, which is really, really great because while you're remote, it showed, for me, it showed professionalism because you were ready to prepare to stand up and do that. The only thing that I don't know if this is going to be a mixed Zoom type speech. And are you going to do this for the speech contest too? Is that what? Okay. Um, and I'm sure this is going to be set up. I think this is just because you're at home when you're doing this. But if they do, I assume all the technology is going to be there. For us, obviously, we're looking at you at an angle. So we're looking at when you were standing up, it felt like we were looking up at you. So that made it that was distracting for me only because it just it felt like you were talking down to us, just the way that the camera angle is. And I don't think that is anything on you, but just something to think about if in the contest the camera setup is set up that way, and you would ask them to either raise it or something like that, so that it's more of a straight on your face or eye level, I would say. But other than that, I don't really have any other um anything to add. So I'll finish with that.
Nice job, everyone, on the round robin information, feedback for Robin. Round robin for Robin.
See that?
And I have a bit of stuff I wrote down for the Meridian report, but I'll wait for that part of the meeting to talk about the Meridian report. In general, going along with a little bit of what Kim and Don were saying, I was thinking about your frame, and in a couple times your head kind of went slightly out of the frame. And I thought, well, that's not going to be an issue for the contest because you'll be in person. So I think for in person, it would be great for you to do it here at the club, and then we can have the area outlined and you can kind of practice using the space a little bit. But what I did like was your body movements. Like I saw you crumple up the paper. There was lots of engaging movement. And then also maybe working a little bit more on kind of keeping the hands to the side when you're not using them, which you did a pretty good job of. I think I did see some kind of hands, kind of a like a kind of a holding the pen right here. But that's icing on the cake stuff. This was a great first time through this for preparing for this particular contest. I'm really excited about it. The only last thing I might say is even more enthusiasm. If you can just add a little more zhuzh.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you with that, but just that excitement that sometimes simply comes when you're at the event because you've got all that adrenaline surging through your body, and that's where it really comes out. So I feel like there's so much potential in this speech to really speak to everyone because we've all been there.
Yeah.
It's why we're all here at Toastmasters.
Right.
So wonderful job, Robin. I really appreciate your speech, and I look forward to hearing it again and supporting you all the way to the world stage.
Yeah. Woo-hoo-hoo!
And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Don to give his evaluation of Kim's speech.
Thank you, Toastmasters. All right, so Kim's speech was called Show and Tell. First thing I want to say that it was a very thoughtful and useful information. So again, I appreciate that because I did not know where all the recordings were. So now I have some resources to go chase those recordings. So the good. So I like to use the good, better, and best. The good was that you had the computer set up and with all the tabs open and ready to go. You didn't have any issues with like, you know, scrambling around trying to find information. Everything happened very smoothly. So you was also even prepared when a small obstacle came your way. When Buffy asked you, can you zoom it in? You were very quick into zooming it in too as well. Seems like you were prepared for that, or you know around the computer a long time. So that was pretty nice that you didn't like stumble on that. You was well spoken with good cadence throughout your speech. So it was slow and steady. And I like that because that's something I need to do. I need to work on is slow and steady because I speed up when I speak to front of people. So that was pretty nice. So as far as the better, um, I I know you were doing a speech on a show and tell at the computer, but I probably would like for you if you stood up to introduce yourself and your topic, and then sat back down, um, and then you pretty much let us know what you're doing. So that would have been better if you did something like that. As far as best, um, you had a great eye contact with everyone here. So you made everyone feel included within your speech. And that says a lot. So and then that keeps us engaged with your speeches too as well when you do something like that. So with that, I'm going to pass back over to the Toastmaster.
Okay. Thank you, Don. That was great. You're getting a lot of experience, or you're starting to get a lot of experience with evaluating, and it's such a great tool because it helps you think about your own speeches and it helps you listen to someone's speech in a whole different way.
You're very
So,
observant.
great job. With that, it's time for our general evaluator
Okay.
to give her general evaluation and
Evaluation.
call it for the reports.
Thank you.
So Buffy.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I have this nifty, what's it called? Toastmasters. A Toastmaster wears many hats. It's just I don't even know where I got it, whether I got it from you guys or what, but it helps me. It's helping me, and I'm reading it now going, what is a general evaluator supposed to do? Take notes about everything that happens. This is only the second time I've done this, and I'm feeling fairly inadequate, I will admit. I will say that the team worked really well to do the setup today. The tables and chairs were all in a big box, and we had to do things differently, and it went very smoothly, and we were about 2 minutes late to start the meeting, but it went well. It's a great team, and we were all here on time, and we've got a guest today, which is lovely to have a guest. I will say, because the whole pattern of the meeting was a little different. We were doing it. We were doing the round robin evaluation of a speech on Zoom, and it's harder to evaluate how well that worked because it was so new to me from my experience. But I feel like we are a nimble group and managed to figure out how to make it all work and flow together. I'm supposed to evaluate each participant in the meeting program, and I feel like I said, we are all nimble and flexible, and we make it work, even those people that have to take on more than one role. I am multiply impressed with that. And you did keep track of things and keep track of things and keep track of things in many different ways. And it's a blessing to have all these people. It's also really nice to have our president attending this meeting today. Good to see you. Let's see. I concur with your evaluation of Kim, in that it would have been to stand up and say and speak and be welcomed, and then sit back down and explain what you're going to be doing. Sort of helps it stay more formal. We did not do a word of the day, so we can't count that. So the grammarian, are you the grammarian?
Mhm.
Okay, Brandy is the grammarian, the counter and timer all in one nice package. And so I'm going to invite you to come up and give that report.
Awesome. Thanks, Buffy.
That's
Don't leave me hanging at the lectern.
right.
Okay, wonderful general evaluation. I agree. It's not always easy to do a general evaluation when we're doing a little something different at the meeting. But I picked a word of the day, and that was nimble.
Oh,
I heard you use that twice, and I thought that was really good. So congratulations.
sometimes.
Okay,
What was I?
I'll start. I'll start with the timer report. So this is for the round robin that we did in place of table topics. Dawn, you had 1 minute 27 seconds. Buffy, 1 minute 15 seconds. Kim, 2 minutes 13 seconds. And I had 1 minute and 30 seconds. That time goes fast, doesn't it? So I hope everybody gave you some valuable feedback, Robin. And then for Kim, for your speech, which was a 5 to 7 minute speech, it came in at 5 minutes and 47 seconds. Robin, your speech came in at 5 minutes and 55 seconds. Great. As evaluator of Kim's speech, Dawn, your evaluation was 2 minutes exactly. And Buffy, as GE, you were 2 minutes and 36 seconds. So everybody hit their minimum times and stayed within their times. So great job, everyone. And for the Augur Marion, I just put my ears on for your speech, Robin. I did not hear a single I heard an
Oh, yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's really, really good.
Yeah.
What I did hear was there was a point where you said my, pause, one of my, and then you went in. It was sort of like you were thinking. You had a you had 4 ands that I thought didn't necessarily need to be there. You had one and, you had one and at, you had one and so, but you did it with a laugh. You were like, and so it was cute. I was almost like, should I even write that down? Because it was so endearing. You had 2 lip smacks that I did hear.
I don't notice
And
that.
I think the reason I'm aware of it is because I've been doing it. I've had 2 folks say that I've been lip smacking. I'm like, oh, I need to listen back and hear myself lip smack and see what that's all about. They weren't loud. I just noticed them. You had one where you said be able to, be willing to, so kind of a start stop. And then there was one time where you said through perfection. Oh, throw perfection. And then you said again, throw perfection out the window. So just sort of like a stumble on that set of words. But you did a really good job. I mean, this is me listening very, very carefully to try to catch on anything because I know this is going to be a contest speech. So that was really impressive. And even though I wasn't necessarily listening for good word usage, I liked the advent of AI. It just sounded so professional and entrepreneurial world. Gosh, I can't even say it. So good job. That was excellent. Now we're at the part of the meeting where we can sign up for roles. But before we do that, I wanted to give our guest today, Tan, a chance to let us know how you found us and maybe what you thought of the meeting.
Like introduce myself.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh, do I just stand up or like it casual?
Casual.
It's
Okay.
casual.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name's Ken. I'm a student. I'm a senior student at SoMeridian University here. I found a Toastmaster throughout my family friend member that recommend me to join Toastmaster and learn the skill for my future career and job. And then I went up to the Google search Toastmaster International. I click on Lazy where nearby my school so I can access and go easier. And then I found this place.
Awesome.
Conveniently located.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome.
That's very cool. Well, what did you think of the meeting?
The meeting it's pretty good. I think like I didn't catch like I like the speech, but also like the evaluator. It's like it's very strict. I think it's really helpful. It's really helpful.
Awesome. Well, if you have any questions for us, I can stick around for a couple of minutes. We have your contact information, and you're welcome to come back as many times as you want. And then we'd love for you to join. And
Got it.
our VP of membership is right here, Kim, so he can answer some questions for you too.
Got it.
Yeah, awesome. Let's see. Roles for next week.
I'm going to stick with general evaluator.
All right, Buffy likes GE.
I don't know if I like it, but I'm going to learn it.
Yeah. Have you been able to find anything like online, like
There's
videos?
been no videos
Okay.
that
Yeah.
on the Toastmasters website. So
Maybe we could find some on YouTube or something. I'll look around and see if I can find some.
I can
some
also just watch some of our old videos.
Yeah.
You know, like where different people, what different more sage Toastmasters have done in the way of, you know,
Yeah.
the three or four of you that have been around for a while
Yeah.
provided evaluations. So it's just time. So
Okay. Excellent.
yeah,
All right. Well, if I can help you in that GE journey, let
thank
me
you.
know.
Thank you.
Dawn or Kim, Robin. I don't know, Robin, if you're going to be here next week.
I don't know either.
Okay.
I'm not going to be here next week.
Okay. No Dawn next week. Okay. And Kim?
Oh, I'm
Am I?
Toastmaster.
Oh, right. Toastmaster.
I should look.
Maybe I'll take a speech.
Okay, yeah. I think Justin should return and maybe, and I don't know about Kathy.
I think Kathy
You guys
might
got
be
one more week. It was 3 Thursdays she was going to be out.
for Kathy. Yeah. Okay.
But I could be wrong.
All right. Did you want to do anything? Did you want to take a second role right now, Buffy, or you just want to wait and see what we need to fill?
I can do table topics.
Great. That's perfect. That's a perfect
Yeah.
second one to take. That's awesome. Okay. Great. All right. I will turn it over to the president for we're running late, but I'll turn it over to the president for some last words before we adjourn.
All right. So my main thing that I wanted to share is that Kyle Hall, who's up in the Squim Club, as well as he has, I believe he placed third in the international contest in like 2005 or something like that, or maybe it was that about 20 years ago. And so he does a presentation on evaluating, and because I had talked with Buffy about potentially bringing in somebody who has that, would be able to share more about giving good evaluations, I asked him if he would do it. He said that if he does his full presentation, it takes about 90 minutes. And so so one of the things that, wouldn't be appropriate for our meeting, but it would be an opportunity if we wanted as a club to maybe sponsor an evening special thing that we can invite everybody from the district. We can invite, any colleagues, if you have colleagues that are in managerial positions and need to be able to, give positive feedback. Evaluations, that's one of the things we're learning, right? Is how to be able to provide positive feedback in a way that people will actually take your input and put it into use because they're not threatened, all different aspects. And so if we wanted him to do it, but we didn't want to sponsor an event that could grow our club, then I would probably ask Capital Club if they would do it, because they actually have a 90-minute meeting format that would fit, so it's like at Tuesdays, I think 6 o'clock to 7:30 meeting or something like that. But I think we could use it potentially as a way to get our club out there and grow our club, which I think it is an important thing we need to do. And so if we want to do that, you could use, if any of you wanted to help organize it, then you could use it as like a high performance leadership project type of a project within the Toastmasters educational program. And so I can help you find out where, as either a main project that would be a requirement or as an elective that could happen. But getting some feedback, and we can, now that I've talked about it here a little bit, what it is, and then we can talk about it in the chat or throughout time. But since we're officially over time now, we can go ahead and end the meeting officially.
All right,
Thank you.
I will do that.
Just a quick question. Does he charge money to give these talks? No? Wow.